Welcome back to class. Today we try to study OpenFlow networks and software-defined networks. The motivation for OpenFlow network or software-defined network is that there are so many excellent research on university or research labs. But how can we transfer this technology to industry and convert them to products? Before we deploy any kinds of research results, we have to perform tests and experiments. How can we transfer that? How can we experiment and test the results before deploying them? So that's the original question or the motivation for such kind of research. Of course, before we deploy the results, the products, we need to make sure that the security, mobility, and availability are all under our control. But then the problem, of course, I told you, how can we build a test network with sufficient scale and realism? The perfect test environment is the internet itself, but for every product, they may contain vulnerabilities. If we are not very sure, we do not want to test the product protocol over the existing internet because the protocol may destroy the entire traffic over the internet. So our goal is clear. We want to test the protocol or product over the existing internet, but we do not want to have an impact on the existing internet traffic. In particular, if the protocol contains vulnerability, we do not want that vulnerability could disrupt the functionality of the existing internet. The answer to this question is what? Is that possible or not possible? So of course, if we want to achieve such kind of goals, we may try to have a software router. That means if we just use network interface card and all our protocols could be written in a software router such that we can separate the research traffic from the production traffic. The challenge, of course, is that the total capacity for such kind of network interface card and the software route is that the speed is around 5 gigabits per second at most. That's not good enough for most experiments. And of course, more importantly, we may be able to try to customize the hardware. That means we try to separate the research traffic from production traffic in the hardware itself. But existing hardware do not have such kind of function. And it's very, very expensive for university labs, academic labs, to design the customized hardware to achieve these kind of goals. If we go back to the switch, how the switch looks like, normally there are many kind of control planes and then the forwarding paths. For forwarding paths, that's very important because if some traffic comes in, the forwarding path will make a decision from which port the traffic should be forwarded out. So in order to realize or implement the experiment that I have talked about in previous slides, we want to have some kind of network environment such that the decision is made externally for the switch. We want to control the forwarding path of the switch from an external server. If we can make this happen, then we can manage the internet traffic more flexibly. And of course, it's very difficult to achieve this because there are so many lines of code, so billions of gates. So it's very difficult for us to modify that existing hardware to do that. And so the solution people have proposed is that it looks like this. We have an internet switch here. For every traffic, if you want to make a decision, if you receive a traffic from this port, you want to make a decision from which port the incoming traffic should be forwarded out. The switch should contact something called controller. The server software is on another computer, and this computer or controller should tell the switch what kind of action you should do on every incoming traffic. That's the basic idea about the OpenFlow protocols. Essentially, if we can do this kind of design, then we can separate all the traffic in the different layers, something that we have discussed in previous class on GNI networks. So untouched production traffic, that's existing internet traffic. Then we can separate other traffic called experiment traffic 1, experiment traffic 2, and many other experiment traffic. If we can separate this kind of traffic, that means if you crash or corrupt the traffic here, you have no impact on the existing production traffic. So using the technology that we have mentioned in the previous class, if we, in previous slides, if we can separate the decision for switch from the switch itself to a controller, then we may be able to implement such kind of protocols to separate traffic in different layers. And all the solution we told means we just separate the control from the data paths from all these switches. We separate this, take the decision or control back, put all this decision maker in a controller, the network controller. He will make a decision, tell every switch what to do. So that's our purpose to design such kind of protocols. Okay. So the protocol was developed or proposed in 2011, but after that time, no product was available for this kind of switch. And only after 2014, the industry began to adopt the OpenFlow protocols and to implement this protocol in their switch or routers. So OpenFlow protocol essentially looks like that again. So the idea is very simple. Okay. So on a switch, you have a OpenFlow. You have every switch. You have to install an OpenFlow client. Every time if the switch receives a traffic and it has no clue what to do, the OpenFlow client will contact the OpenFlow controller, that's the server, and the server or controller will tell the switch, OpenFlow client, what kind of action you should do for every traffic. So that's the basic idea. This OpenFlow controller does not need to be a very powerful computer. All existing small computers should be, all used computers should be okay to serve this purpose. And OpenFlow in action, okay, so that's looks like if host 1 try to send a packet to host computer 2, and it will forward the traffic to the switch. If switch does not know what action should be taken on this traffic, the switch OpenFlow client will contact this OpenFlow controller, and controller will tell the OpenFlow client what to do. Forward the packet to controller, and it's available here, and then when this decision is given to the switch, all the future traffic will follow the same decisions as this mentioned. This decision could be valid for 24 hours or for 1 month. It depends on the policy in the OpenFlow networks. So normally an OpenFlow traffic looks like this: the rules, actions, and this kind of things. Action will normally means forward the packet, encapsulate and forward to a controller, or drop the packet or send it to certain ports. So that's similar things, just a protocol format for OpenFlow networks. So that's some things about, basically things about OpenFlow networks. OpenFlow will normally be used to design the general networks we have discussed in previous class. And for example, you can separate all this experiment traffic 1, experiment traffic 2, experiment traffic 3, experiment traffic 4, or experiment traffic 5. As these experiment traffics are independent from each other. They do not see each other. And also they are separated from the internet traffic. If some of these network experiments crash, it will have no impact on the underlying production traffic. So that means OpenFlow network is normally used to do the software-defined networks. If you know that, I'm sure you have learned about SDN, software-defined networks. These protocols products are normally based on OpenFlow networks. So one of the earliest adopted products for the OpenFlow network is data centers. At data center, of course, they did not customize the traffic patterns. In order to achieve that, software-defined network or OpenFlow provides the perfect solution for data centers. So that's why data center try to use the OpenFlow network in the first place. Of course, after the industry tried to accept the OpenFlow protocol, then the academic research benefited a lot. And we use general network. General network and many cloud solutions take advantage of OpenFlow networks. So that's all for today for the OpenFlow networks. I just want to make sure that you understand what's the underlying technology for the general networks and what's the underlying technology for next week project Cloud Lab. So without the successful solution from OpenFlow network and software-defined networks, it's almost impossible for us to experiment the cloud computing in the classroom. So that's a very, very important technologies. If you want to learn more about OpenFlow network, you are welcome to do that. But the discussion in today's class is sufficient for this class, for us to understand cloud computing and cloud testing environment. Thank you, and see you in the next class.